Good morning, everyone. My name is Rick Rathert. I think most of you know who I am, but if you don't, I am the chairman of the Church Council and chairman of the Congregational Divine Shepherd Lutheran Church. And I'm doing this report this morning because due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have not been able to convene meetings according to our bylaw schedule. And so we wanted to provide you with an update on the business of the church. To explain that a little bit, let me say that we do have a church council which acts like the board of directors of a business, and we deal with all aspects of the business of the church, from paying the bills to making decisions about contracts and taking care of repairs and maintenance around the church. The council is made up of 9 voting members, myself as chairman, and Pastor Sturzenbecker is a member also, a non-voting member, and he is not only our spiritual advisor, but he helps provide us with some guidance about what things are needed to continue to operate Divine Shepherd. Today, I will be reporting to you the results of the July 14th Church Council meeting. Our last meeting was in April, and it was relatively brief, and we used that meeting to decide to enroll in the Paycheck Protection program, which was used for the school teachers downstairs because when enrollment ceased, cash flow ceased, and yet those teachers needed some kind of income guarantee. That has worked out very well for us. I'll update you a little bit on that program as we go along here today. But because of COVID, we did not have our regular monthly meetings. In July, we did finally call a meeting on the 14th in anticipation of a congregational voters meeting on July 26th. However, because again, COVID is fairly rampant and we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate, we decided not to actually hold that meeting and instead do this live stream update of the business of the church. I would like also to mention that any reports that are submitted by members of the Church Council, the Treasurer's report, the financial report, the meeting minutes, pastor's report, are all available to you. You can just simply call the church office and ask for copies, and Melissa, the church secretary, will provide copies to you in your mailbox. This live stream will be posted on the website, and there will be other information on the website periodically that will help you stay abreast of what's going on here at the church. So let me begin by talking about the Paycheck Protection program. I won't get into all the details of it. We have utilized it through the month of April, May, and June. We are now looking at asking for forgiveness on that loan. There's quite a lengthy process to request a forgiveness position on it. The program details have changed quite a bit from month to month, sometimes even week to week, but we feel we have the final word right now of what we need to do to apply for forgiveness of the loan. When we requested the loan, we asked for $43,000. We expected we would use about $33,000 for payroll expenses, which we did, and so the balance of that loan will be returned to the lender along with our request for forgiveness of the $33,000. I don't know what the outcome of that will be. The program was fairly strong in its statement that these would be forgiven loans, but after speaking with our lender, there is no technical guarantee that that would happen. Nonetheless, if they don't forgive it or forgive all of it, whatever we need to repay, we have 2 years to do that without any interest charges, with payments beginning in January of 2021. So we feel we're in pretty good position on that. We were very strict in how we used the money. It was used only for payroll for the teachers that were not able to work during the time of April, May, and into mid-June. The bookkeeping has been very detailed on that. We can verify and justify all of those payments, so we don't feel that we should have a problem qualifying for the forgiveness. Also, would like to talk about the seminarian program. You've read some things about it and heard some things. Dennis Mercer, a recent member who joined Divine Shepherd, is being called by the Lord to become a pastor. Dennis has moved here in the last 12 months. He is a retired military veteran. He was a parochial school teacher with a Lutheran school in Maryland. And Dennis feels that he is being called to go into the ministry. He has contacted the seminary in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He has submitted all of his paperwork, which has been accepted. I don't know at this point if he's received the official acceptance letter, but he has been assured by the department at Fort Wayne that he will be in the class of 2020-21. Dennis will be going to the seminary in September, and Pastor will be going with him, and they will go through an orientation. They will learn how they will operate together, because most of Dennis's study will be here at the church and at home. He will not be a resident student. He will be in what they call the SMP, or Special Ministry Program, and that allows us to utilize Dennis as he grows in his role as a pastor. In fact, we should be able to call him, if you will, as a vicar by January, and he will be a vicar here for 2 years, and then he'll become an assistant pastor, and finally he'll have graduated from seminary. The cost of this is underwritten by Dennis himself, by the district office, by the synod, and also by Divine Shepherd. The congregation has pledged through the motion of the church council to provide up to $4,000 per year toward tuition for the next 4 years. That has gone quite well, actually. You can go onto the website and make a pledge to support Dennis and fill that out. It's confidential. Our financial secretary will be the only one to see that. And then, of course, you can submit offerings or contributions to that on Sunday mornings, or you can send a check in. All we ask you to do is make the check payable to Divine Shepherd Lutheran Church, and in the memo box indicate that it is for the seminarian program. If you are a member who uses the direct deposit withdrawal system, we call it Simply Giving, where we deduct your offering from your bank account periodically, you can ask that we have a special draw set up to pull money for the seminarian program as well. And that information is all on the website. If you need to speak to someone about it, please call Kathy Swan, our church financial secretary, and she can help you with that. We did evaluate our workers' compensation insurance. They require us to provide an employee roster to them, and every year we do that, and this year the premiums seem to be considerably higher than it has been in the past. So I contacted the insurer and discussed with them why this premium rate was so high, because technically Pastor and our secretary Melissa are covered by that, and Pastor's injury of a few years ago is handled by workers' compensation. And so there hasn't been a lot of claims. Our rating should be quite low. So they evaluated that, and they came back and said without any change in coverage, they could lower our premium $653 per year. That's fairly substantial, I think. Our premium was a little over $3,000, and so it'll be down to around $2,400 now. Still a lot of money, but it's a better premium than we were spending in the past. We, of course, on the council have the job of identifying members of the church who can lead certain groups and organizations within the church. And that brings me to the Education Committee. The Education Committee superintendent is a person who helps set up the educational programs of the church, working with Pastor. Primarily, he focuses on the Sunday school and all of their educational materials, and the committee that helps support that. We are currently without a Sunday school superintendent, and of course, Sunday school is just around the corner, we anticipate. So if anyone listening to this feels that they could consider that as a volunteer position in their life right now, we would be very grateful. If you would like more information on what's included with that program or with that job, you can visit with Pastor, you can talk to me, you can talk to probably Lori Eisenbraun, who previously was our Sunday school superintendent and stepped down for medical reasons. That's an important role, of course, because it's the education of our youth, and we really need to have some good, strong leadership there. And you can grow into the job, you can be trained in the job, but we would really like someone to consider that as part of their ministry to Divine Shepherd. As you may be aware, the Black Hawk cave-in of the gypsum mine over in Northdale has left at least one of our members impacted. Their home was within the evacuation zone, and they were required to move out and move everything that they owned out as soon as possible. They were fortunate to be able to move into a home in Rapid City, a rental property, and they are hopefully going to be able to buy a home out in the valley, as I understand, for their family of 5. They have, at this point, not required a great deal of support, but we would like you to at least keep them in your prayers. It's the Peck family, P-E-C-K. Their children are enrolled downstairs in the daycare and the school, and they are really between a rock and a hard spot, to put it simply. So your prayers are very much needed. We may be organizing some sort of fundraiser to help them in the future, but prayers will go a long way right now. You may have seen sitting outside in our park area the Lutheran For Life trailer, a small white utility trailer. And that trailer contains all of the crosses that are used by our statewide congregations around the state. And we set those up, and it's to symbolize the number of deaths due to abortion in the state. That trailer has been in limbo for some years now. I believe the last time it was used was in 2018. We received a call from the state Lutherans for Life board and asked if we would take over that responsibility at Divine Shepherd and make sure that the trailer was maintained and that it was made available to any other congregation that would like to use it. And so after discussing it, we decided that we could take that particular job upon ourselves. Fauna Goff has been our Lutheran for Life coordinator here the past year and a half, 2 years. And the trailer has been sitting here for probably 3 years, and so it seemed prudent for us to take that over and make it available. So we've had it licensed. We are looking at probably doing some minor service on it, maybe repairing some things and getting the tires replaced, as well as changing the outer covering of it, because right now it has statistics from 2013 on one side and 2018 on the other, which are obviously quite out of date. The trailer's a little bit small, actually, for the number of crosses that we would need to have in there. So we'll be talking to Lutherans for Life about purchasing another trailer or a trailer to replace this one. So you should see a little bit more activity with that. Just recently, the church in Spearfish called us and asked if they could use the trailer and set up the crosses, and so they will be using that for the next week or two probably. But it's an important ministry, and we feel strongly about it, and we want to make sure that the community and the district and the circuit in the Black Hills are aware that it's available and can be used anytime that they would like to use it. Another somewhat minor item, but important to our church secretary, is that we have reassigned the mailboxes in the fellowship hall. You may have read something about this in a previous report that I did, but what we've done is assigned numbers to each family rather than use their name. And the reason for that is that as large as the church has grown now, when people would move or join, whatever the case may be, Melissa needed to reorder the entire mailbox system to accommodate that name to keep everything in alphabetical order. And we decided that it might be easier to just simply number it, and if a family leaves the church for whatever reason, we can simply assign another family to that number. And if a member joins the church, we will just add another number to the total of mailboxes and just continue to move forward. So it reduces the workload tremendously for Melissa, and I think it makes it fairly simple for you to find your mail in those mailboxes. We've hung up directories on each end of the mailboxes, so you can look up your mailbox number as well as anybody else's if you want to leave them a message or some other correspondence. We have a van that the school uses. It's a large passenger van, but it's about 21 years old, and it's starting to show wear and tear, and even though it's been serviced and probably maintained quite well, it needs to be replaced as well. We haven't made a decision on just how to go about doing that, although we will be probably looking at buying a used van at some point down the road. And since the church uses the van as well as the school, that will be a joint purchase decision, and we'll try to keep you apprised of that. We'd like to be able to use the van to accommodate other groups in the church, LWML, Rusty Restorations, whatever it may be, to do more than just have experiences in the fellowship hall or in the Shepard Park. So if anyone knows of a really high quality van that might be available at a relatively good cost, a reasonable cost for us, please let Pastor or I know that, and we will follow up. The next item is the hiring of a custodian. Last March, our custodial team, Russ and Lori Eisenbraun, indicated that they would like to step down from the custodial job because, one, it had grown tremendously. It's a big area that we have to have maintained. And they were both suffering from some medical issues that probably were aggravated by the work they were doing here. And so we decided to find a new custodian. And as always, God answered our prayers very quickly, and we hired Jay Frederick. Jay is a member here at Divine Shepherd, and it just happens that he had joined the church after being a member of the LCMS church in Pierre, where he had served as their property manager and maintenance person for the last 14 years. So I talked to Jay, and he was quite interested in it, and so he has assumed the role of hired, paid staff custodian for Divine Shepherd. You won't see him much because he's here very early in the morning to do his work, and he's taking care of a lot of small tasks that need to be done. And we're very, very grateful to Jay for being on staff. He's done an excellent job. We couldn't have found a better person, I think, at the time. So we're appreciative of that. We also hope that you'll keep the Eisenbrauns in your prayers so that they will recover and be able to continue to be involved in Divine Shepherd on a regular basis. We did, at this most recent council meeting in July, approve a request of $4,900 to purchase additional streaming equipment to be used in the sanctuary. Now, what that means is that as we are doing these live streams, if you've been coming to church on Sunday, you notice there are 2 tripods in the main aisle, and that's how Scott and the audiovisual team actually record these live streams. We've got tape running around the room, and we've got cords everywhere, and it's been working because obviously we've had a good result with the live streaming. However, the new equipment will eliminate the need for these tripods in the middle of the sanctuary. It will provide us with a broader scope of what's going on in the sanctuary because the cameras will be mounted in different places. The quality of the live stream will be better, and the sound will be better, and it will be somewhat easier to use for the presenter. And just to give you a quick story, I just learned that we had some devotions recorded yesterday and found out at the end of those 5 recordings that the sound was not working. So they had to be completely repeated. And so we hope that the new system will fix that. We don't know just when that will be installed, but it will be sometime this fall, and you'll notice it right away probably as you look at the website and see the live stream devotions and Bible studies and worship services. Another topic that we're seriously considering and looking at has been brought to us by the Social Engagement Committee and the Long Range Planning Committee, and that is to revitalize and rejuvenate Shepard Park. We have the playground there, we have the storage garage down there, we have a picnic area, the volleyball area, and so on. But if you take a walk around that, you'll see that it's in pretty tough shape. We've got some trees that are dead and dying and have been damaged by the deer. We've got rocks that rise up out of the soil after every hard winter that we have. The shed is really not adequate to store everything that we need to be putting down there, and it could be better organized. So Jeff has made some proposals about what we can do. One of the first things that needs to be accomplished is to change the drainage from the roadway out there on Wedgwood, because every time there's a hard rain or a large snow melt, the water runs down and tends to flow over into the playground area and wash away the base of that area and leave a lot of debris and quite a mess down by that playground. So one thought is to change the drainage, and then we would move the playground further to the east, a little closer to the school where the kids are and teachers are able to access it more quickly and more conveniently. Then we would implement a community garden, which would be offered to members of the community. That's been on the plans for a little over a year. We've got a lot of space down there that might work very well for that, and we could share that with the community as well. We would then look to try to maintain the property itself better. We're mowing it, but we could maybe irrigate it. We could change the size of the volleyball net and still have a good volleyball court and use that space for other things. There is an opportunity to host some outdoor services, some other activities for both youth, Rusty Restoration, LWML, and other groups. And there are some things that we can do just real quickly. Jeff Dyer has looked at purchasing a couple of barbecue grills, which would be stored down at the shed down there. And we could do a Wednesday night barbecue with Bible study rather than have the suppers inside. Obviously during the winter that's not going to work, but maybe in the next 6, 8, 10 weeks we could still barbecue outside. We could use those grills for other events up here by the church building and so on. A wish list has been posted on the bulletin board in the hallway outside of pastor's office, and if you would care to make a donation to help with the purchase of 2 grills, one with a griddle on it, that'd be great. You can write a check to Divine Shepherd Lutheran Church and put on the bottom just grill purchase, G-R-I-L-L purchase. The park is a valuable piece of property that we use very, very little, and it's something we could utilize more, but I think we just have ignored it for so long. Nobody thinks about what the opportunities might be there. So you will see some changes coming. You'll see some activity down there, and hopefully you can participate and support that as we go forward. In the near term, the biggest thing probably on the horizon for us is the reopening of the church to all activities, all the committee meetings, all the Bible studies, all the groups and events that go on here. We have tentatively set that date as September 13th. It will be a date that we hopefully will be able to have a full service, have some other events going on here, some outside activities, and it will comprise most of the weekend. We're going to promote this as Divine Shepherd Lutheran Church Family Reunion Sunday. And one change that would occur is we'll have one service on that Sunday, and it will be at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 10:30, excuse me, and it will include a baptism, hopefully. We will have some new members that will be inducted that Sunday. We will have the grills going outside. We'll have food provided by the church itself, so you can stay and eat lunch here. We hope to have some bouncy houses for the kids and some other activities out in the Shepard Park, and have everybody come to church and to be here for Sunday school, church, Bible study, and everything that we typically and traditionally do at Divine Shepherd. We will keep you apprised of that. You will see more information on it over the next few weeks. It'll be promoted on the website and on posters and announcements at church. So be sure to kind of stay in touch with that so we'll know what's going on. Now, obviously, we have 2 things that impact that. One is COVID, and if COVID still is a major issue for us, we will postpone it. We are not going to force this issue and cause anyone to feel uncomfortable or impacted health-wise by this event. The other thing that might change it is if we are able to move forward because COVID has subsided a little bit, we still may have a weather-related issue on that weekend. And if that's the case, we will simply move everything to the next weekend and have all of those activities and outside things going on. So stay posted for that. I know a lot of people are excited about it that have heard about it because they want to get back to normal at church, and I certainly don't blame them. I do too. It would be wonderful to have a big family reunion and have everybody come back and see the people they've missed for the last 4 months, 5 months, and we can really have a kickoff to the way things used to be. Now, with that being said, I want you to know too that the live stream devotions that Pastor does will continue. We're not going to change that for a while. We will always live stream the services going forward. There may be other opportunities to do some live streaming. Committees will maybe take advantage of that. The church council has not been meeting, but I have been staying in touch with the members of the council via email, and so we've been able to continue to transact some business and make some decisions that way. COVID has created the challenge of how do we formally function and officially function when we can't be face-to-face, and so we have adopted a few things by the council to make all of our contacts well recorded, official. The votes take place electronically if there's a need for a vote. So we feel that we are not violating our bylaws any more than necessary. I want to thank all of you for your patience and your understanding and your support during this time. I didn't mention the Treasurer's report, and I will take a moment to do that. One concern of any organization, and we've seen it time and time again during COVID, is that financially businesses are suffering. Many churches have been concerned about their ongoing financial obligations. And I am here to tell you that Divine Shepherd has not suffered at all due to COVID from a financial perspective. We've been able to meet all of our obligations. Expenses went down a little bit, but there are other things that obviously increased during that time. But we are financially solvent. We've been able to meet our obligations to the district missions. We are accumulating some dollars in savings to pay off a private loan that we still owe money on. At the end of the year, we'll be able to make a sizable payment on that. And we have been able to meet all other obligations that have come due. So thank you for that. God bless you for your generosity and your support. And we are so blessed here that we almost don't even know how to talk about it. So again, thank you much, and if you have any questions, you can stop me when you see me. You can call me. My phone number is 605-431-0190. I know Pastor's available to visit any time. Randy Wombold, our head elder, is glad to visit with you about any of these things as well, as he does serve on council and is familiar with these topics we discussed today. Thank you very much. Stay safe.